Alright guys, it is time for my yearly tier list because we are in holiday season, and holiday season means really good ad revenue on YouTube. So yeah, let's get right to it. You guys have seen tier list before. I'm not going to spend too much time on each individual character probably. We got a lot of them. I want to keep these videos nice and concise, so I'll try to focus on the main points. Also, remember, these tier lists are meant to represent like how good a character is in my mind. But this is ultimate. Most characters can do well with the right bracket, right? Like there's so many matchups, there's so many things where it's like, hey, this character is bad, but they counterpick a really good character. And so just because a character is rated lowly doesn't mean you can't make them succeed and people aren't. This is just like in my mind, you know, you put a character through like a lot of brackets versus top players. How well are they gonna do over time? So yeah, let's get right into it, starting off with the bottom tiers. Ganondorf. I don't think there needs to be too much justification for this, right? He's just kind of, he's bad. He's like the one character where it's like he's probably never gonna like top 8 like a stacked event no matter what. I think the big thing is that he's just too easy to kill. For being a heavyweight character, his recovery's super bad because he's so slow in the air. And he doesn't have anything to make up for that really. So you throw him off stage and he just dies. And you can't have that nowadays in my opinion. So Ganon firmly in bottom tier as the worst character in my opinion. And yes, this is of course ordered. Next up, Ike. People might be surprised to see Ike here. And my thought on Ike is like, he has a bit of everything. Like he's a pretty well-rounded sortie on paper. But in practice, he's a bit under-tuned everywhere, right? His combo game, it's okay. He has some kill confirms, not great. His kill power is decent, but not like absurd. He has some cheesy stuff, like his dash attacks just, it feels like a cheese move. His armored up B. But I feel like because he's slow with poor frame data and his hitboxes aren't even like as massive as they need to be for his stats, he just gets walled out by projectiles, bigger hitboxes, overwhelmed by combo characters, he gets edge guarded. And it feels like every matchup I see Ike playing, there's some sort of like crippling weakness he has. Man, he went from being like a meta relevant character to really bad over the course of Ultimate's history. It's poor Ike. He'll have his day in another game, hopefully. Dedede is like, he's kind of bad in every way except his ledge trapping. If he gets his Gordo setups going, he's really good. And that's kind of the win condition for him, right? Get you the ledge, Gordos, hope it works. With that said, everywhere else, he just seems bad. He's slow, he's a big target, very easy to combo. His multiple jumps are pretty good for landing mix-ups, and he has some decent hitboxes. But it's kind of like Ike, where it's like, his hitboxes don't give him enough, or relative to like, his lack of stats. His recovery can be exploited. And like his fact is very polarizingly like focused around his Gordo ledge traps, but most characters have like ways to stop him setting that up freely. I will say I think it also doesn't help that he kind of does poorly into a lot of the very good characters, and there's like a meta with like a lot more like super good sorties everywhere, or like brawler-esque characters they might do well in. But I think there's too much like runaway and like zoning and just anti-engagement stuff. Alright, Zelda. Zelda, another character where it's like, she just has bad buttons, right? Like, you look at her and it's like, her main thing is Knight, the down B, and even then, because it's such slow startup, you can kind of get aggressive and challenge her with speed. If you have like quick projectiles, you can challenge her. And if you can shut down her ability to spam Knights, she doesn't have much. She has hard read moves, like, you know, her sweet spot aerials, her up B. But all these are hard read moves that, like, aren't reliable to hit and are pretty risky to go for, I'd say. So you end up with this character that's just too high risk for the relative inconsistency of taking those risks, and otherwise just getting outbunned by like every other character in the game. Villager. So Villager is, I feel like this character is I don't really know what the point of this character is. Like, he's this weird hybrid of like has decent close range buttons with his jab, his neutral air, and then he has like some zoning with like side B, forward air. I feel like because side B is like not gonna like out camp characters, he wants to use it to get in, but then his close range game isn't good enough. Like, he doesn't get good combos, great kill confirms, like none of that really, at least not good enough. Pocket's good anti like zoning, well, anti projectile tool, but it's punishable if you bait it out, and it doesn't. He can't force people to actually like throw projectiles at him, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have like a scary enough wall by default, combined with his recovery being exploitable, and I don't see this character like ever doing well anymore. Alright, Kirby. Kirby's issue is that if you fight Kirby, he's actually pretty good, right? Like, he is a very good up-close character. Good combos, good frame data. However, he's very light and doesn't have great kill confirms. Even, like, his combo game can fall off a higher percents. But the big issue is, if you just want to play super lane versus him, like Circle Camp, Run Away, if you've got a show game, or just really good spacing, it's hard for him, right? Hard for him to fight you. And especially because he's so light, he can't afford many mistakes getting close. And he's just dying super early. So I know Gillahu's been doing well in Mexico, but I think overall this character is just really weak, and his game plan really falls apart to people willing to lame him out. And then finally, Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a character where it's like, he is pure offense. If this character's hitting you, he feels really good, right? Like, he's one of those characters that a lot of people are going to say, there's no way he should be here. And I think that's very valid, because the feeling of fighting a Mewtwo and being outplayed feels like, wait, this character's insane. He's fast, he hits hard, good combos, great projectile, whatever. Has anti-projectile tools, has some cheese. But, like, when you're not getting outplayed by Mewtwo, he's such a big, light character, and, like, his hitboxes aren't great. Like, you know, his tail is a hurtbox. He's very easy to, like, 2-frame when he's trying to teleport. A lot of his attacks have, like, decent lag, I'd say. So, like, you can kind of, like, whiff punish him. He gets blown up just as hard as he blows people up. But in a game like this, where a lot of good characters, or even, like, not great characters, can blow you up but aren't as fragile, I think it's really hard to play such a glass cannon character nowadays. And yeah, that is it for the bottom tier. Pretty small bottom tier, right? I think most characters in the game are, you know, pretty much everyone can be useful. But the bottom tiers in particular, I feel like I just don't see them doing well consistently, especially over a long period of time. And yeah, that's really it. The low tiers now for Ultimate. Now, all the characters in this tier are characters that have, like, had their time in the spotlight in Ultimate, I think, doing well sometimes. But none of them have really consistently done well, like for long enough periods of time to make me go, maybe this character has sauce. And in fact, a lot of these characters have gotten less and less common over time as people just realize they have massive weaknesses, right? So they can do well with the right players, right brackets, but for the most part, they're just lackluster. And starting off, we got Doc. So I feel like Doc's thing is that, unlike a lot of other close-range characters, he doesn't have a versatile enough combo game when he finally achieves that difficult goal of getting in. He has, like, down throw, down B at certain percents. He has, like, some, like, decent, like, combos with down tilt and, like, up tilt, like, okay damage. And, like, he can kill you early, sure. But the problem is, if you know the windows for a lot of his stuff, you can play around his kill confirms. You can, like, get by some combos and then his combo game falls off drastically higher percents. And add that to a character with a poor recovery and poor approach tools, and it's just, I don't really see the point of playing him. He's just a pretty weak character once you know the matchup. Alright, Robin. Robin is a character who's consistently hurt by his own mechanics. This character actually is, like, pretty good when he has all of his spells in Sword available. Like, he has 11 Sword, he has all his spells. He's, like, here, he's actually pretty good. I think getting the items from his stuff expiring isn't enough of a benefit to how much he loses anytime one of his spells or his 11 Sword is gone from his kit. Add to the fact that he's, like, slow. His frame data is okay. His combo game is, like, it's decent, especially with Arcfire, but, like, it kind of relies on Arcfire to get, like, really good reward. And finally, he's just at really bad disadvantage. And I think for the most part, he's just, it's a struggle bus character for sure. When you hit people with a character, you feel like, oh my god, popping off. But oftentimes you're just getting walled out or outmaneuvered or edgeguard or something. Speaking of edgeguarding, we got Little Mac. This character is one of those, like, yeah, when he hits you, he feels very good, but obviously throw him off stage. His recovery is more mix-ups than people give it credit for, but he's still, like, potentially gonna die there, right? And so many good characters have really good ground control tools, projectiles, long-range spacing tools, or they're just so mobile in the air that Mac can't reliably reach them, right? So it's like, a lot of the roster, I feel like, doesn't let Mac play his game. And I put him here not because I think he has, like, an awful matchup spread versus the entire roster, but I think enough characters basically invalidate him that, you know, he has, like, a good amount of decent matchups versus, like, very mid-rangey characters, swordy characters, and characters that kind of have to, like, fight. I think, like, the fact that he's so easy to counterpick really makes it rough for him. He's such a bracket-dependent character. Alright, K. Rool. K. Rool, when Ultimate came out, was terrorizing Elite Smash. People, he got nerfed. He got buffed later, but at the end of the day, he doesn't really offer you enough strengths for his weaknesses. Like, he's one of the few characters in this game who actually has to worry about like end lag on his moves, right? Most characters have like spammable buttons. He doesn't. And like, his game plan is really linear with his projectiles, with the ways he can use aerials. He has a pretty exploitable recovery if you know how to do it. And he's just huge combo food without like much ability to escape pressure. He can armor through stuff, but you can outplay that. And I think for the most part, he's kind of a matchup check. Well, once you understand the matchup, you can abuse like all of his weaknesses. And his only real strength is just hitting you hard off of your mistakes. And as Ultimate's entering year 5, people aren't making these mistakes that Kirby really needs to get openings, trade with projectiles, whatever it is. Alright, Piranha Plant. Now, I'll give shoutouts to Lucky. I've seen Lucky doing well with this character. I believe it's a Midwest Piranha Plant player. So, this character has shown signs of life recently. With that said, the character just doesn't... The character feels like outside of Patui, Neutral B, doesn't feel like a good character. Like, their attacks range from like bad to okay. I will give Plant credit. Good combos, pretty heavy, especially for Plant size, and can kill pretty well. But I think the problem is Plant's attacks are all like a poor mix of like poor frame data or bad hitboxes, and you can't get by in this game on like just hitting people with like neutral B ledge trapping and abusing your weight to kill people early if you don't have the hitboxes to like contest people with. So yeah, Plant's here. Plant can honestly go higher, but I don't see it. Alright, Lucario. As scary as Lucario is, Lucario has kind of the same issue. His attacks just aren't good enough. Like, yeah, Aura Sphere, Max Aura Lucario is horrifying, right? Back here is scary. Neutral B, when he's like the big version of it, wow, that's horrifying too. But beyond that, he's a character who pretty much loses neutral to everyone. His recovery is very exploitable, although it's weird to punish because you have to like know it, like know how to punish it. And you mostly play him for the fact that like, hey, I can make one good read and kill people, but because he has to like constantly play people even when he has aura to like take advantage of that mechanic, and otherwise he's bad, I'm gonna put him down here. He's a low tier that's really scary to fight. A low tier that can make upsets, but is almost never gonna consistently run through a bracket, I feel like, because of the inconsistent nature of getting the high percents and then becoming a decent character. Alright, Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. to me is this character where it's like, his kit has so many random things that are good. Like his forward smash, pretty good. His up air combo's pretty good. Side B is really annoying. So what's his issue? I think the issue is that despite all these individually decent attacks, they don't really create this like cohesive kit, right? Like he wants to like I'm so sure he wants to like just kind of spam side B, wait for his opening like a Sonic would. He wants to space out forward airs and back airs. Maybe he wants to set up like down B. And the thing is, he has to do all of them, but he's kind of subpar all those things. Mainly getting by in the fact that he hits really hard and lives pretty long if you don't edge guard his exploitable recovery. But yeah, when like every aspect of your gameplay feels like it has some critical flaw, like side B can be challenged pretty well. His disjointed aerials don't have the best frame data. His grab is, I think his grab's pretty poor, right? His recovery's iffy. The whole like mechanic where it's like you hit like Bowser Jr., he takes extra damage. All these things really hurt him. Oh, I should mention, TM Zap has taken a set of riddles, so this character's shown signs of life, sure, but I don't see like him or any Bowser Jr. consistently taking sets off top players. Alright, Misori. Now, I feel like Misori on one hand is super underrated because no one plays him, no one wants to play him. It's Misori, right? It's like something about the Miis, no one wants to play him because they don't have the personality. And I feel like there is a world where people use the Mii sword fighter, neutral B, it's like a shuriken, use like the sliding sword, I think it's the down B, because that's you can do like shuriken down B as a combo, and then they kind of play around that while spacing with his pretty decent sword buttons. It might be a decent character. With that said, we're 5 years in Ultimate. I haven't seen that. I don't expect anyone to start doing that. And this character still has major issues with his frame data relative to his sword range. He doesn't have great combos. He does have like kill confirms on bad day with down throw, but for the most part, he's not hitting like kill confirms or combos that much. So he's just doing like small like pokes or like 2-hit combos. And that's just not enough in Ultimate's metagame unless your neutral is insane. Alright, Ridley. Ridley is a feast or famine character, right? And yeah, if he hits you, you don't play the game. If you hit him, he doesn't play the game. The problem with him has always been he's such a big target, and even though he has big attacks, like, he doesn't have great frame data, so like a lot of his short pressure is like it leaves him open when it hits your shield. If you're pressuring him, you can't find a great place to press a button, right? And especially because he's heavy, but he's not heavy relative to his size. So he's combo food and dies relatively early. And all these things overall make for a character that is more likely to get pressured into not being able to play the game than doing the same to his opponent. So he is a very, what's the term? Inconsistent low tier. Sometimes he can blow you up. Other times he's going to fight a character, get hit by a projectile, and get put into an infinite vortex. Alright, Bellmont. Bellmont was like the original Min-Min in that, like, he's a super counterpick character, right? His zoning is so, like, he's so focused on, like, that mid-range zoning, right? His ledge trapping is so powerful. But in exchange, if you have a character that gets past the zoning, oof. If you have a character that can juggle him and edge guard him, oof. And, like, he's so good at what he does and so exploitable in his weaknesses. And I think in Ultimate, you know, most characters that are good especially have good ability to get around like his zoning, have good edge guarding, good combos, and basically have tools that really negate him. So while he's pretty good versus a lot of like the characters that aren't particularly great, that really doesn't do him any favors nowadays. And yeah. Alright. Next up, we have Lucas. This is one of those characters that's always been, like, potential, right? Like, oh my god, you can do, like, double jump, cancel Zaire attack, and it's really good. I will admit, if the Lucas player can hit, like, the double jump, cancel, like, Zaire stuff and, like, forward air, he can hit some pretty good combos. He can do some good damage. I can see him moving up. With that said, it's 5 years in Ultimate. I haven't seen a Lucas player able to implement that and, like, do well in tournaments. And the thing is, because even despite that stuff, I think his attacks overall bad. I feel like he covers like a very specific horizontal space well with like forward air, Zaire, and side B. And then everywhere else, he like doesn't have great hitboxes. His movement's pretty good, but like once again, I feel like you need good hitboxes to account for the movement. So he's mostly just gonna be fighting characters that like win the neutral. I think his side B in particular is like a pretty poor projectile, and I feel like he has like some decent like edge guarding stuff like down smash, 2 frames, neutral Bs. But it all feels like inconsistent because it's like very telegraphed. And inconsistent like edge guarding, ledge trapping nowadays when a lot of characters have very reliable setups that are hard to avoid. Yeah, it's rough. I always give this. I want to give this character credit because I want to say like maybe he can be better. Maybe Lucas player pops off and shows me I'm wrong. But at this point, I haven't seen enough. So yeah. All right. Finally, we got Banjo. This character is kind of like Lucas in that like there is some potential with like the egg cancels. I've seen like crazy like egg cancel combos with like up tilt, and it's actually pretty good kill confirm. He's pretty heavy. He's pretty hard hitting up close. Side B's always move with the player on, right? So he's scary. When it hits you, he's scary, and you have to respect his space. I think the big problem though is that despite that, most characters that are kind of like brawler, like zoner hybrids have better neutral buttons to like control that closer mid range. Like he doesn't have good neutral buttons. He just hits hard when he gets an opening, I feel like. And I know someone's gonna argue it's like forward air and dash attack are decent, whatever. And like his projectile game is decent, but I think there's enough counterplay across the cast to like eggs. Grenade doesn't feel like a great move overall. And then of course side B is a great move, but it's also very punishable. And if he uses all of his side Bs, he's like screwed off stage. So yeah, he's weird. I don't. It feels weird putting him in this low tier, but I like also haven't seen this character do well like since Ultimate's release. And whenever I fight this character, it's like, okay, yeah, this character isn't able to like assert himself in neutral. So yeah, I'll put him in low tier for now. And that is it for the low tier. You know, a lot of these characters in low tier, like when their game is working, when they get going, they're really good. But their game kind of requires the opponent to like not be able to get around like zoning in particular, I feel like. And yeah, a lot of good characters are just too fast for the low tier in my opinion. So that's it for the low tier. Catch you later.